In this tutorial, I'll give you the basic usage of the Dorna software. The Dorna GUI is a free, open-source software used for controlling the Dorna robotic arm. The Dorna GUI runs the Dorna API and a Flask server in the background and displays the data in a web browser. The Dorna GUI is optimized for the Google Chrome web browser. The program is compatible with Python 3.7 or greater, and there are two main ways to install the program. To install the package using pip, use the command pip install -u Dorna GUI. You can also clone the GitHub repository. Once you've cloned the directory, run the setup script. Before you run the software, be sure to run Python using sudo privileges. To start the software, first create the GUI object, then call the run method. The input parameters to the run method are log, browser, debug, host, and port. When the log argument is true, the internal logs appear in the command line. If log equals false, no logs will appear. When the browser argument is set to true, the GUI opens in a new tab in the default browser of the host machine. Browser equals false does not open the software automatically. The debug argument controls the debug mode of the background Flask server. Set debug to true to start the server in debug mode. False to start in normal mode. The host argument is the host name or IP address for the server to listen on. Host defaults to 127.0.0.1. If you have debug disabled, or trust the users on your network, you can simply make the server public by setting host equals 0.0.0.0. The port argument is the port number for the server to listen on. Port defaults to 5000. Now let's get into the basic usage of the Dorna software. Once you have the Dorna software up and running on your preferred browser, let's click the first tab in the upper left-hand corner. Information about your connection status, and ways to connect, disconnect, update the firmware, or reset the device. Some of the parameters in the connection tab are robot status, state, device ID, USB port, the config file, which will show you the location of your configuration file, the software version, the firmware version, server status, and the internal and external server address. To connect to the robot, press the Connect button in the Connect/Disconnect tab. Once the robot is done connecting, you'll see the robot status change to connected, and the state will change to stopped. You can also tell that the robot is connected by looking at the green dot in the lower left-hand corner. Now let's turn on the 3D model of the Dorna robot by pressing the I button in the lower left-hand corner. Now you can see a 3D model of the Dorna robot. If needed, in the Update Firmware tab, you can update the firmware by pressing Update. Note that you don't need to reconnect if you update the firmware. If you're having problems with connection, unplug the USB cable and plug it back in again. Also, if you need to reset the device, you can press the Reset button in the Reset Device tab. Now that we've connected to the robot, and we can see the 3D model on the screen, let's home the robot. Click the Home button, and you'll see the Homing tab. To home the robot, press the Home button. Underneath the Homing tab is the Set Joints and Calibration tab. Only calibrate after you've homed the robot. For more information on Set Joint and Calibrate, you can refer to our tutorial on the subject. Now let's move on to the Configuration tab. In this tab, you'll find all of the configuration parameters. If you change any of the parameters, you can save the configuration file here, or you can download it. Here, you can change the unit system, the tool head length, the joint limits, the default speed, the default jerk, and the motion parameters. You can refer to our configuration video for more information on these parameters. Now let's look at the Input/Output tab. Here you'll find a control panel for some of Dorna's inputs and outputs. If you're using the servo toolhead, you can adjust it here. You can also toggle the laser, or whether the inputs are active low or active on high. And here, you can toggle the outputs. Now let's move on to the scripting tab. You can write scripts for Dorna in this tab. You can write scripts in JSON format or in Python 3. If you choose to write scripts in Python 3, always start your Python 3 scripts with a main function, with the robot object as the input parameter. Then you can type out your commands and play it on the robot. You can play your script by pressing the play button in the lower left-hand corner. Here we'll give another command, but in JSON format. You can also use this Commands tab. Using the Commands tab, you can generate commands for your script. Here, we'll use a move command. Your options are path, movement, speed, jerk, joint, and XYZ. Here I'm going to choose path joint, movement absolute, speed of 1000, and I want all the joints to be 0. Then I'll click the plus button to add the command to our script. And then I'll play the command and watch the result. Here you can also load scripts or save the one you've already created. You can also control the robot using the control panel on the right-hand side. Speed and jerk can be controlled with the 2 top sliders. You can control each joint with the sliders. Or you can manually input the joint values and then press go. In the lower right-hand corner, there's a halt button. Press the halt button to stop any command running on the robot. In the lower left-hand corner, you can press the log button to open the log window. And when you send any command, you can see the resulting logs. That's all for this tutorial. For more information, you can refer to the Dorna wiki or to some of our other tutorials at dorna.ai.